Hello, and welcome back to another Guest Top 10. I am resident guest person, guest host, real host guest man, Alex O'Neill. And with me today, rounding out another new person, first-timer, first-time caller, long-time listener, never-time listener, Logan Moore.
What's up, Alex? Thanks for having me on here. Appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
dude. Thank you for coming up and saying hi to me in PSX.
Yeah, for sure. I Twitter stalked you, saw your pinned tweet, and I was like, hey, podcasting, networking. Let's work this out. Let's do this.
Hey, this guy's here physically?
You're one of those people that would always show up in my Twitter, so you'll scroll through your feed and it'll be like, so-and-so like this person's tweet. It's like, I don't follow that person, but they're constantly showing up in my feed. You were that person for me. So good. I knew who you were, but never followed you.
It's working. So, well, now you follow me.
Now I followed you. Now we can get in those DMs and
slide into the DMs.
All kinds of
all the secrets, man. It's all coming out now. Logan, this is your first appearance on Anything IP. So tell the folks a little bit about like where you're from, where people can find you on the internet.
Yeah, so I currently do a podcast called Millennial Gaming Speak. I do that with my co-host Max Roberts. We've been doing it for getting close to 2 years now. So that's one of the main things that I do that is mine. I also write currently for a PlayStation website called PlayStationInsider.com. I'm managing editor over there, so I kind of run all the day-to-day ops of the site and things like that. Those are the two main places you can find me right now. Follow me on Twitter at moreman12. I don't know. 2017 is going to be interesting. I've got a bunch of stuff cooking. It should be interesting. I don't know. It's going to be a good year, hopefully, as long as I can work myself to death and wish I could sleep more. So,
I mean, like if you're not doing that, then you're not doing it right, as far as I'm concerned.
How I feel. Yeah. So next year is going to be interesting. I have a lot of secret projects going on that I'll reveal to you all when it's time. But
when it's time, down the line. Yeah. Another incentive. I mean, hopefully, maybe when some of those are off the ground, we can actually bring you on a regular episode of Rational.
For sure.
Passions.
I would love nothing more than to be on a regular episode.
Yeah. Just like bring it in, lock yourself down for 3-4 hours.
That works with me.
Yeah,
I like the long ones.
Yeah. See, like most people are terrified of it.
I think we did a 4-hour episode of MGS after I got back from PAX because I had to tell all of our crazy stories about all of my crazy stories about like peeing next to Mark Cerny and sitting front row at the Game Awards and all this other crazy stuff that happened. So it was an interesting weekend. But yeah, the long episodes are fun. I'd be happy to be on an episode.
You sink into it in a way that
you do. You
learn a lot about yourself, about the people around you.
I can only imagine how it is after you've had 300 episodes.
I know. You start thinking about like combined time of like 2-hour average length podcast for 300 episodes, and you don't want to think about it anymore.
You don't want to think about it.
I'm excited. I don't have any kind of inclination to your kind of taste with video games. So this is going to be a journey.
This will be an interesting one. Maybe. Well, there's probably a couple surprises on here that you wouldn't expect. I would think.
I mean, I think my list, my personal list, whenever that comes out in whatever form, is pretty milquetoast. So we'll see. Let's kick things off with some honorable mentions, things that didn't quite make the list.
Yeah. So before we get into it, there's a bunch. So I'll say this. I got a bunch of video games for Christmas. My parents never buy me games. This year they bought me exclusively games. So I just got 5 or 6 new games as of 2 days ago that I'm now trying to get through. So games I haven't played, but I really wanted to, Final Fantasy 15, Watch Dogs 2, Dishonored 2, Dark Souls 3, Mafia 3, Dead Rising 4. Those are all things I'm gonna play at some point, maybe because 2017 is
starting off strong. Just hit the ground running.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts and Resident Evil within the first 3 weeks. So yeah, it's I got stuff to get through. So and I want to do that. And this is a constant thing. Last year when we did our top 5, top 10 games on our podcast, there was we made our list at the end of the year, and then there was 2 or 3 afterwards that okay, now that I've actually played everything, this is where I would rank them. So as of right now, this is what my list looks like, but I don't know what it'll look like after I've played everything that I want to play that came out this year.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions though, Gears 4 did not make my list, but I really enjoyed Gears of War 4. I played through it in a day and a half. It's really good. It's really solid. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I'm in the same place with it.
Trying to see what else. Quantum Break too. I feel like a lot of people slept on Quantum Break. I was a big fan of Alan Wake. I thought Remedy did a great job with Quantum Break. Again, it was just, I want to say short, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because I almost appreciated how short it was. And like, there's not really games like that anymore that you can just get through in an 8 to 10 hour sitting. I also thought the stuff they did with like the TV episodes was interesting. It didn't necessarily work out.
Hit the mark. Yeah.
There was a lot of poorly written characters in it.
Yeah.
And then the final boss battle kind of left a bad taste in your mouth going out with the game. But overall, like I really enjoyed that experience and I wouldn't mind. I don't know. I don't think I want a sequel necessarily, but I did enjoy my time with the game.
I'd love to see Remedy make another Remedy video game.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
Apparently they're just working on multiplayer stuff now, but
there was inklings of it in Quantum Break, but I don't know. I mean, I think it just got caught up in development hell because they revealed that at the Xbox One
announcement.
Yeah. And then we never heard from it for like 2 years after that. So it's a solid game though. Like I really enjoyed it. And then the other one that's kind of odd, but Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, I thought that was the best Lego game that they had come out with in a really, really long time. Like probably since one of the first Lego Batman games. Like I thought it was the best Lego game that had come out in probably 3 years. It was a good summer game. Nice game to just kind of, nothing else is out. So I'll sit down and play this. I enjoyed that. I'm a big Star Wars fan though. So maybe that was my bias.
It helps, I think.
Besides that, I think that's about everything. Stardew Valley, again, that's something else. I just downloaded that on my PS4. Hopefully I can play that.
I'm like,
at some point,
I'm in a really dark place where I'm like 25 hours into that game. And it's like stopping playing that game is harder than most things.
I see that kind of that makes me happy in a way though. Like I want to sink my teeth into a game, and I'm hoping Final Fantasy can maybe do that. I've never played Final Fantasy though, so
okay,
that'll be my first one. I'll pop my cherry with 15.
Have you watched Kingsglaive or Brotherhood?
No, of course not.
Okay, of course not. Never.
Of course not. I've never even. I'm
anime.
I'm very much a noob when it comes to Final
How do
Fantasy.
you feel about Kingdom Hearts?
I have played Kingdom Hearts though. I have played most Kingdom Hearts games, so we'll see. And I know the combat's
you're winning favor with me. Is what I'm saying. It's different.
Good. That's very good.
I would not. I would say it's different enough. You know.
Kingdom
Hearts. It's way more lax. It's not as like you don't have to necessarily pay as much attention. Stardew Valley is a game that is hard to stop once you start. Final Fantasy 15 is hard to start, but is worth it to sink your teeth into. I liked it quite a bit, having just finished it like 2 days ago.
The one I've been playing a lot right now is Dead Rising 4, which is a series that has been like, it's been really, I don't know, like that's one of like those early games that I remember being like a rated M game that my dad was like, yeah, you can totally buy this. I don't care. This is cool. This reminds me of Dawn of the Dead or whatever. So
that's very apt.
That was a game I would go to school and talk to my friends about, and we would try to break down like, oh, did you get to the gun store? Did you kill this psycho or anything? So that's kind of I don't know if Dead Rising 4 is great, but it's a game that is almost nostalgic for me at this point, even though the series only started last gen, but I don't know. It's comfortable right now. So I'm enjoying playing through that.
That game, the Dead Rising 1 came out 11 years ago. So nostalgic is absolutely fair. Yeah. Think about it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because I was in like 5th or 6th grade at the time when I was playing through that. So
yeah,
that's really weird. That's really, really
2005. Weird time, huh?
Yeah. Freaking really strange. And I think my friend who I would play that game with is now in the United Arab Emirates because he was shipped out there with the Air Force. So yeah, really weird, really strange, I guess.
So I think it's totally valid to be nostalgic.
Yeah, I guess so. So I'm playing through that. It's fun. I don't know. I don't know if it's great, but it's a fun Christmas game, and I'm trying to play it while it's still sort of Christmas time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I haven't really got around to that I want to play. I don't know. That backlog, I'll never get through that backlog. Like there just comes a time where you just have to cross games off and accept that you're never going to play them. And I've unfortunately done that recently with The Witcher 3. I'll never finish that game, even though I want to. But
yeah, and to be fair, like no one finished that game. It's like Ni no Kuni. Everyone played it and liked it, but no one finished that game.
Ni no Kuni is also in my backlog, so that shows how far my backlog goes.
I'm one of 3 people that I know that finished Ni no Kuni. So
I thought it was only like 25 to 30 hours, but
it's about 30 to 40, I would say. You could probably mainline it in like 25.
At least it's not Persona. Persona 4 Golden's another one in my backlog, and I don't know. I want to, man, though. That's the thing. I want to. I just never make time to do it. And
of all video games, Persona 4 Golden is the game worth finishing.
I love it. I really do. Like, I'm really excited for 5, and I feel like I owe it to myself to finish it before 5, but
I don't know how far you got into it, but that is a game with a really good ending, and that is not something you can say about a lot of video games.
I think I was trying to save the biker bro, so like dungeon 2 or 3.
That's like 2, man. You got like 60 hours left.
I know.
Not really. It's like 40 hours left, but
yeah. I really want to get back to it, but I don't know. Right. Well, at least they delayed Persona 5, so now I got an extra.
You got more time. You got
an extra 4 months to tell myself that I'm going to beat it, even though I won't. So,
all right, let's get into it. Number 10.
Number 10 for me was Ratchet and Clank.
Hey, that's what's cropping up on a lot of lists.
Is it? That's I don't know. I fought with this in Gears 4. Gears 4 was the one I booted off. I decided to go with Ratchet and Clank though because I forgot how fun these games could be when done right.
Yeah,
and
it's been a while.
It was surprising. Like I knew it was out and I knew it was coming. I was working at GameStop at the time when this came out, so like I had all the release dates like in the back of my head, but it still caught me off guard and just. I think that's part of the reason why I liked it so much too, is I didn't have much anticipation for it. Like I knew what it was and it was a remake too. And so I didn't know what that meant really. Like, was it going to be like a frame for frame remake almost of the first one? Something like they're doing with maybe the Crash Bandicoot remaster or remake or whatever they're doing with that. That's almost like the same game. Ratchet and Clank was the same, but really different in a lot of ways. There was a few different story beats and a couple new levels, maybe, if I'm correct. I don't know. I had just played through the first one originally, not too much before this one actually, so it felt new. And it was also just the gameplay in these games. Like, I mean, this is like the 6th or 7th Ratchet game at this point. Like, you know what you're getting into, but every time I play a new one, I'm reminded, okay, this is like the pinnacle of action platformers at this point. And I want to see more of these games coming. I don't know what the market is for them right now though, because I feel like they kind of went overboard with All for One and then whatever the tower defense type one was, whatever that was called.
Full Frontal Assault.
Full Frontal Assault. That's what it was. Yeah. So they went overboard when they knew that they had something good. And I don't know.
Did you play all of the Ratchet and Clank games?
I think I played all of them on PS2 except for Deadlocked. And then I played all of them on PS3, except for All for One and Full Frontal Assault.
What about Enter the Nexus?
No, actually, no. I didn't play that, but I really wanted to.
Yeah, apparently that's the one where North Carolina studio finally figured it out. But it's good to see, because like, you know, this second Insomniac, the North Carolina Insomniac, that made All for One and that was bad, and then Full Frontal Assault and that was bad, and then apparently Enter the Nexus was good, but no one played it. They finally made this, and it's finally a good Ratchet and Clank game. So
wasn't the thing with Enter the Nexus, wasn't it only like 4 or 5 hours long?
It was short. Like that? Yeah, it was like
that was the thing. I heard that it was really short, and it was almost like what was the in between one between Future Quest for Booty?
Booty.
It was like Quest for Booty, except a little bit longer, is what I heard.
Yeah.
So
Quest for Booty is great. So
Quest for Booty was really good, but you could beat it in one sitting, and so that kind of sucked. And it was like $25, I think, at the time, $25.
Yeah. So in the $20 range.
That was when PSN was really early on. The PlayStation Store was just getting started, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason why it's on this list though is because I played through it twice back to back, and I did it for the platinum, so there's that. But that's rare for me to do. Even when I am chasing platinums, I very seldom go back to back playthroughs with a game that I just finished. Like Uncharted, for instance. Like I want to do a platinum, a crushing playthrough of that eventually, so I can get my platinum on that. I haven't done it yet, but Ratchet and Clank, as soon as I beat it, I immediately jumped right back into it. And I never do that with games. It was just so satisfying. And it was a game I spent about a week with, but that week was just fun. And that's the thing, is there's so many games now that I think are overwhelming. Like all those games I listed to you that I got for Christmas, like it's overwhelming for me to want to go into any of them right now because they're all open world games. There's a bunch of in-depth mechanics with all of them. Like Ratchet and Clank was just simple to the point. I knew what I was getting into and it was fun because of that. So a little bit less stressful, even though you shouldn't be stressed, I guess, when you're playing video games. But I don't know. It is overwhelming that everything's an open world game now. So it's a little bit nicer to just get into something a little bit more simplistic every now and then.
Yeah. And it's jolly. It's damn fun.
It's cute.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's, man, the graphics.
The graphics, it did look like a living Pixar game.
Yeah, it's cool. What about number 9?
Number 9 was one that I had heard a lot of buzz about, and I decided to finally get it over Black Friday when it went on sale, and that was Titanfall 2. This made my list, even though I still haven't dived into the multiplayer with it. But I played campaign alone made my list. I know what the multiplayer is like, though. I played a couple matches of it. I played a lot of Titanfall 1, so I get the gist of it. This campaign reminded me a lot of how good shooter campaigns can be. And I'll say, not necessarily shooter campaigns, but military shooter campaign. I haven't seen a good military shooter campaign in years. Like going back to probably Modern Warfare was the last one that really shocked me when I played it. There was other good ones. Black Ops was good, and so was Modern Warfare 2. And then I think they started to lose their way with Modern Warfare 3. But
I like Black Ops 2. I thought Black Ops 2.
That was when I got out of it. So everything after Black Ops 2, I was out, unless Modern Warfare 3 was afterwards. I can't remember. Modern Warfare 3 was the last one I played. That's all I remember.
Yeah, Black Ops 2 was immediately after Modern Warfare.
So yeah, I hadn't played Call of Duty since then. So, but yeah, Titanfall 2, the military shooter thing, like I totally forgot how good those games can be if they're done right. And the level design, obviously everybody talks about what is the one where you can switch time back and forth?
Level, yeah.
Yes. That is one of the most well-crafted first-person shooter levels I've seen in a really, really long time. Like maybe ever. Like that's up in the pantheon of first-person shooter levels for me. Like that is so
like in the Raventown family of it's really good. I'm with you. Absolutely.
Just from a design standpoint, like whether you think the game's fun or it sucks or not, you can't deny that the way that level is laid out is genius. Mm-hmm. And it was just, the story surprised me. Not necessarily the story beats or the world. I wasn't invested in any of the characters except for the Titan. Except for the relationship between the pilot and the Titan. I can't remember either their names. It's been like a month.
Jack and BT. They don't matter.
Thank you. They don't matter. All I know is Titan and pilot. Yeah, the relationship between them was really funny. Like I was shocked how much character the Titan himself had. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. And the other thing, I forgot the boss battles. The boss battles in that game were great. They came out of nowhere. I didn't know that was even going to be a thing in the campaign until I started playing it. I was like, shoot, there's bosses at the end of every one of these levels. This is awesome. And it felt a lot like Mega Man because you'd kill them and then
get their weapon set.
You'd get their weapon set or whatever it was, or you'd find different weapon sets laying around the level or whatever. It was really cool like that. And I like switching it up and like, okay, maybe I'll go use my sniper type Titan ability to go after this boss, or maybe I'll go just rush in and blow them away. There was a lot of variety in there, I thought, and you could approach it in a bunch of different ways. And obviously the weapons are cool. The final level where you're running around and you've got the auto pistol, the auto lock pistol that they finally give you. I forget what that's called, the name of that weapon, but
I'm not sure. Yeah.
That's really cool because you just start bouncing off the walls and you're just killing everybody. I was really shocked with the campaign. And so again, it makes my list purely because of that. If I'd sunk some time into the multiplayer, it may have been even higher. But
yeah, I'm with you, man. It's that campaign does innovation and like it has a very like Nintendo like approach in that it introduces something and really fleshes it out and then completely forgets about it, like leaves it behind for something new.
And I think the thing with both Ratchet and Titanfall is that I think I'm curious as to if like my expectations with these games are part of the reason why I enjoyed them so much. Like I didn't expect anything out of the Titanfall 2 campaign. Like I was going into it completely thinking it was going to be a multiplayer focused game with a tacked on campaign. And Ratchet and Clank, I was like, this is going to be a $40 quick experience. They're not putting much into this. It's a remake of an old game. And both times I was proven wrong. So I don't know if in my mind, I think they're better than they are because my expectations were so low, but they're both great. Like I really do think those are both solid games.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's weird. I was like not going to buy Titanfall 2 just because I didn't really budget it out for myself, but yeah. I had to after what everyone said about it.
No, same here. I had not planned on buying that game at all.
Mm-hmm.
So and I just felt the need to.
Yeah. Number 8.
Number 8's the one I am currently just sinking a lot of time into. And so up front, I don't really do multiplayer games. Every now and then there'll be one that comes along that I will sink just a ton of time into. But the one that's got my attention right now is Battlefield 1. I was a big fan of both Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3, and then they lost me with 4 and Hardline. And I liked everything I was seeing about 1 leading up to launch, and I played the beta, and I was actually pretty underwhelmed by the beta. I thought it was fun, but I think the map they chose for the beta was really poor. Like I didn't like that map at all. But finally getting the game and sinking some time into it and playing it with friends too. Like this is a game that even when I do multiplayer games, I rarely play with my friends either. So that's kind of odd, but this is a game that I have like 4 or 5 buddies and we've all got the game and we've all just been jumping into our squads and going out and just leading the leaderboards every single game. It seems like, it really, I don't know. See, that's the thing is I felt like 4 and Hardline stumbled, but I also didn't think they were necessarily bad. It just, something felt off with it. And now Battlefield 1 seems to have it back where what I enjoyed about 3 and Bad Company 2 was the sense of chaos, I think. And also the maps, like the maps are so important in these games. And I think most of the maps in Battlefield 1 are really solid. I like the switch of time frame as well. Like everything's been so futuristic lately. Like this, it felt refreshing to go in a different direction finally. And I'm curious to see if the industry as a whole starts to do that again soon. And everybody, let's go mine World War II again, because we haven't done that in 10 or 15 years. But yeah, I've been really just sinking a lot of time into this game, and I got all those games I listed earlier that I need to get to at some point, or that I want to get to at some point. But the last 2 days, all I've been doing is playing Battlefield 1. So, so that sucks, but it's really fun. Like I'm really just thoroughly enjoying myself, and they got the Battlefield magic back again. And I don't know. I mean, it's fun. Any multiplayer game where you can chuck TNT into the truck bed of a car and then go ride it up into the middle of a base to hop out and detonate it that's fun.
It's all right.
It's just it's not too bad. Yeah. So
I get it.
Battlefield 1. Yeah, I've been playing that lately. I'd like to play it again tonight if I can finish all of my chores, writing chores or whatever. So yeah, we'll see.
The time period really turns me off, and I'm like super in the minority of that, of not craving the World War I game.
So have you played it?
I have played a little bit of it. Okay. I tried the campaign. It does kind of like throw you into that without really asking.
Yeah.
I ended up playing a little bit of multiplayer, just like maybe in total an hour between both.
Okay.
It just, the feel of it just doesn't speak to me. But I'm like also the minority in that I'm like all for full future tech robot shooters. Like, give it to me. I'm down. Like, I didn't play Infinite Warfare this year. I didn't end up getting into it, but I'm totally okay with that style.
You should play through that campaign if you get a chance. I rented it from Redbox and just decided to sit down with it this last week. It's really good, actually. Yeah. I was actually shocked by it. So it's fun. Call of Duty's fun. The thing I forgot about with Battlefield though was the campaign, and I think a lot of people liked it more than I did. I've played through it this last week at some point, and it's good, but it's not. I don't know. It's nothing I'll remember. or anything like that. I thought there's like 5 or 6 chapters to it. I thought a bunch of them were pretty forgettable, honestly. I did like that you could pick and choose which ones you wanted to do at which point and things like that. And I do think the opening of the game, when you flat out know you're going to die, that's really impactful. And that's like one of the most impactful things I think I've seen in a game in a really long time. Like that, and that beginning is brutal, but the rest of the campaign after that moment is pretty stale, I thought. So, but yeah, it's mainly the multiplayer with this one, which is what I'm enjoying.
Yeah. So I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad it's out there for the people that really needed it. So, but not for me, maybe. What about number 7?
So
I always lose it count immediately.
7 goes back to multiplayer, though, surprisingly, which again, I just made a big deal about me never playing multiplayer games. But for reference, my favorite multiplayer game of all time, and the one that I've played more hours of than anything else, is Team Fortress 2. So my number 7 then is Overwatch, which I had not had on my radar until it launched, and then obviously the buzz, and it seemed like it blew up. But I still didn't really know what the game was because I had not watched anything about it, and a couple people pitched it to me basically like it was a more modernized version of Team Fortress 2, and that's all I needed to hear. And so I just went out and bought it, and that game had my attention for most of the summer. And I think it's really to put this in perspective, like, so this is like what my favorite games of the year. If I was to objectively make like a best game of the year list, like Overwatch is my number 1. Like I think Overwatch is the game of this year because of what it did to just everybody was talking about it, man. Like no one would shut up about this game for months. And even still now, like you got the whole Tracer is gay stuff, and everybody blew up about that last week. I think it's just so well crafted. I mean, Blizzard, they're one of the best for a reason. And the characters are all so unique, but they all feel like they fit together. The game's really fun too. Like that seems just like no duh it is, but it works. Like they found a way to make all the characters be so different, but they all work so well together in unison. Plus, I think this was a big step for console multiplayer, honestly, because a game like this hadn't really been seen. I felt like a game like this hadn't been seen on consoles up until this point, and I'm curious to see what it does going forward. Like it was $40 on Steam, wasn't it?
Yeah,
if I'm correct. Like
this past like month, it feels like it's been $40.
I feel like it was at launch. It was $40 though. I think
it was $40 on PC and $60 on console.
That's what I thought. So I'm curious to see if, I don't know, this whole, because people kept calling it a MOBA or referring to it as a MOBA. It's not a MOBA, but it has MOBA-like tendencies to it for sure. And that's something that has been very few and far between on consoles up until this point, I think. I mean, there's...
Especially to any degree that was successful.
Yeah, I mean, there's Smite and Paragon, and I mean, those games have their...
that Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings game? Come on, how can you forget?
Yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about.
On console. Don't worry about it.
So yeah, I think Overwatch is the most important game that came out this year, and I think it's the one that is going to have the biggest impact on the industry like years afterwards, because I think Blizzard found a way to make a game that would have normally only been suited to PC also relevant on consoles. And I'm curious to see what people like even somebody like Cliffy B, like he's doing Lawbreakers right now. I'm curious to see if he would, I don't think he's gonna bring it to consoles or anything like that, but these people who do set out to make games specifically for PC, I'm wondering if they'll now see the success that Overwatch has had and think about maybe also bringing it to console. Because I think the thing with the consoles too is that it's harder to grow a consistent player base there, because they're so dominated by the Call of Duties and the Halos or whatever on Xbox specifically. But I don't know. Like I feel like I'm jumping all over the place with this, but
like I get it. It's Overwatch is so it's weird how it can be so known. Like it's an arena shooter. It's a 6v6 arena shooter, but also like so new at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, mechanically, I've never seen a game that is as well crafted, like literally from the word go, from the beta that came out, the public beta in May, the weeks leading up to its release, to the moment it launched. Like, it was excellent. It was a top tier, like 5-star gameplay video game.
Yeah.
And that very rarely happens at launch, let alone like 7 months later when it's been made even better. With 2 new characters on top.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, the free characters they've added, the new maps, the new modes, the holiday events, and things like that. Like, they've continued to curate and give more to their audience and their player base, which is for free too, which is the rarest thing. Is like you see people updating their games like that every now and then. Like, Halo also has free DLC, if I'm correct. Halo 5 does, but it's really rare that you see a developer giving this much attention and love to a game. And I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon either. Like, this is going to be a thing now. Overwatch is just going to be a constant in this industry for probably the next, I don't know, people still play Team Fortress 2, which again is the one.
People still play Diablo 3. You know?
People still play Counter-Strike. It's just, well, they switched over to Go, but Counter-Strike Source was like,
it was 10 years later,
10 years or something like that. So that was when you get a good multiplayer game like this on your hands, like they stretch it out forever, and it's not going anywhere. It's
that Blizzard effect, and that Blizzard level of attention to detail has never launched on consoles, right? You think about Diablo 3 came to PC, and then a year and a half later came to consoles, and it's been great and supported on consoles.
Yeah.
And then it would later come down the line to PS4 and Xbox One as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Overwatch from the word go is available across PC and consoles. So it is very much the first time that has been on that market to those consumers. So
I'm interested to see what their numbers are like across console over the next year. And I don't expect them to dip. If anything, I think more people may even jump on board. But because even again, going back to Team Fortress 2, like, I remember when that came out on 360 at the time I bought the orange box, and there was a good community there for a while, but it was not steady. And I think that's where you lose a lot of that, is because most people don't continue to update the games on console like they do on PC. Like, Team Fortress 2 got a ton of the updates on PC, but they just left the console versions in the dust. And I don't see Blizzard doing that with Overwatch. So as long as they continue to curate and give people more on consoles and not leave them in the dust like they normally would with a PC version or something like that, like, I don't see it going anywhere. Yeah. And again, like, objectively, I think that is the game of this year. And when we have our top 10 game of the year episode on MGS, that's gonna be my number one for sure.
All right, I like it. What about number 6?
So number 6 was the only VR game I had on my list, and I fought with myself on which one to do. I could have done them both, I guess, but I got PSVR at launch, and that was fun. After I finished setting it up for,
it was a fun week.
Yeah, it was a fun setup too, trying to figure out how I wire it all together. I'm looking at the mess right now. I haven't tried to wire any of it behind my TV because it'd be too complicated. The first game I set up though was Arkham VR, and that's my number 6. It's not really, I don't want to say it's not a game, because it's definitely a game. It's an experience though, but it sold me on VR because I had never really tried VR up until this point, like at a convention or something like that. Like, I had tried Oculus once or twice, but never in depth. And this was the one that sold me on it and how it could work and what it could be. And I played through it in one sitting. I'm a huge Batman fan too, so I love the Arkham games and all that stuff, read the comics. This was just really satisfying to me, just seeing how, I don't know, again, this was like my proof of concept VR game, and this is what sold me. I had just spent $400 on the headset and all the other stuff, the Move wands and whatever, all that stuff. And I didn't know if I was making a good investment, and this basically told me that I had, and that VR was going to be prevalent for a long time. And I thought the way that you, I mean, just looking down at my hands and seeing my hands in those first openings. Do you have VR?
I do not.
Know. You do not.
I've been exposed to a good deal of it, but I've been kind of holding out. I'm hoping to maybe buy PSVR in January. So
for Resident Evil.
Yes. Pretty much. Although I don't know if I'll actually end up playing it in VR.
That's my thing. I've been playing around with the demo.
It might be too much for me.
I can't wear the headset when I play it. It freaks me out too much. I have to listen. I wear the headset with every other game though. Or I wear the earphones, not the headphones. Yeah. But yeah, Arkham VR, it's short. It's like 90 minutes long, but really it just sold me on VR in general. And it's still the one game that when people come over and they're like, oh, you've got PSVR. How's that? I'm like, all right, stand here. Let me set everything up and you're going to play Batman. And that's the one game I show everybody because it's just such a good proof of concept for the hardware. And there's some fun challenge things in it as well. Like, again, it's not really, I don't feel like there's like any gameplay to it or anything like that. So I don't want to say it's just a really fun game, but there are some fun little things here and there. Like once you finish the main story, you can go back through and do Riddler challenge and things like that, which have always been like heroin to me with those games because I can't ever finish any of them without getting all of the Riddler trophies. So that was fun going back and doing that. And then
I have 3 Arkham Platinum trophies. I know about heroin. All right.
Yeah. I've got the Arkham Knight one, and then I never got City or Asylum.
City and Asylum. I can't get Origins because it has multiplayer trophies.
I forgot about that shit. Yeah. Didn't they shut the servers down recently too?
No, they're still going.
Go get it.
I thought about it. There was a real dark moment where I replayed through all of them when I did a spoiler cast with for Arkham Knight with Greg Miller, and after that I just went into this dark place where I needed to get platinum trophies. And anyway, I thought about it.
How did you? Quick aside. Which one's your favorite?
Arkham City.
Good man. I'm glad you're one of those people who doesn't say Asylum. Actually, did you get Return to Arkham by chance? Or
I didn't. I haven't played that yet. Not that I would have had time this year, but
I didn't think Asylum aged real well. I played through that again, and I was not.
I played through it
impressed.
Again. Like I did Origins, Asylum, City, and then Night again to get the platinum.
Yeah.
When I was doing my series of platinums, like chronological order.
Yeah.
Asylum, I don't think aged well, but I think it is still like it's difficult for me to play Asylum and City back to back and not see City as like clearly the better game.
City's one of my favorite games of all time, like probably top 5.
Yeah,
that's how much I like that game.
I would say it's in my top 15. But it's so engaging to like if it's weird because I love Metroidvanias, but if Asylum is a Metroidvania, then Arkham City is a Zelda game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Where it's like a world map and you go into dungeons, and that's where each villain has its own dungeon, and it's like it's so cool. Like I think the scope of City makes it just such a standout. And then Night was too much, but still cool.
Night was really good, but I felt like Night betrayed me because I am such a Batman fan. I am so into reading the comics and staying up to date with that stuff. And just the Jason Todd stuff made me really upset. I didn't like that. I didn't dig that. And then it was the Batmobile. So
it was just too predictable. It was too easy.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I'm a person who is all about give me new characters, give me new characters, give me new characters. And then
they're like, we're going to make a whole new character. And then
I'm like, yes, of course. Yes, this is awesome. I like one of my favorite Batman story arcs is Hush. Like that was like the most original story they've done.
Yeah.
And forever.
I was so excited to see where that would go in Arkham Knight after what happened in Arkham City.
Yeah. That was really,
and it was about a hot 5 minutes. Good 5 minutes.
It was a good 5 minutes, but it was, that was not, I was so excited to see him in Arkham City, and then there was no payoff. It was like Mass Effect 3.
Arkham Knight is good, just not great like Arkham City is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'd like to play it again down the road and see what I think of it, but
Arkham Origins also really great.
It's underrated for sure. It's got its problems, but I think
but you know,
I like how they work all the villains into that one, like how Bane kind of shows up and then how he plays a part with Joker.
So good in that game.
Yeah, it is. I think Origins is underrated. I think they're all great. Like it's probably like one of the best series in gaming history, honestly.
So. Yeah. It's gonna be more. I'm sure they're gonna make more of this.
So yeah, Arkham VR. Yeah, if you get VR, play.
I'm very curious to see the story of that game. I still know nothing about it, so
it's interesting. I guess I don't know. It's almost like I don't think it's canonical at all, but
apparently it takes place just before Arkham Knight. That is what I've been told.
Well, I mean, one of the missions in it, like Nightwing dies in Arkham VR. Like that's like the first thing you do is you find Nightwing in an alley and he's just been killed. Yeah. And then everything starts and goes from there. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't know if it's canon or anything.
We'll see. I still want to see it, you know.
No, it's really good. And there's some
I want to be Batman.
There's some creepy moments in it, man. Like it's I don't know. There's a couple scenarios with I won't tell you. You just play it for yourself. It's good. It's worth the $20 for sure. You'll enjoy it. If you enjoy all the other games, you'll really like it.
Okay, cool. Number 5?
5. Yeah, 5.
Top 5. Let's go.
Top 5. So my number 5 is a game that I played through literally in 24 hours and then returned to Redbox, and that was all I played of it this year. But it's a really impactful 24 hours I had with the game, and that was Doom. I am not a Doom guy. I am not a person who's grown up idolizing Doom. I know about the series. I respect the series. I know how important it is for games, but I've never played any of them. So I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
I thought I would play it, check it out, rent it, whatever. It was awesome, dude. Like this game was
real good.
It's really, really good. And I wrote up a whole to cut to the chase. I think the reason why it stood out to me was because of how first of all, it's so fast, which is just awesome. There's no shooters like that are that fast, really.
Doom is a game that makes you feel like you're on drugs when you're playing.
Yes, and then the heavy metal music. You feel like you just did some Walter White blue meth or something before you jumped in there.
In the best way.
In the best way. It's not a bad thing. The blue meth's good in this case. I love how unabashedly like stupid it is in many ways as well. Like they don't care about the story. I can't tell you a single thing that happened in it, but I know that was purposeful.
Doom Marine is really angry about stuff, and he's
mad about something, and he's got to kill some stuff. That's about all you need to know. I think the one thing that sticks out to me when I think back on it is they changed the way that all other shooters right now have been playing, which is duck and cover and hide behind stuff when you're injured. Doom, when you get hurt, you better be charging directly at somebody to kill them and then punch them in the face because you need health. And I think the brutality kills, whatever it is, when you when you tear people apart like limb from limb, when they start glowing or whatever, and then that automatically gives you health. That's the only way you can get health. So you need to basically charge at people and obliterate them to then get more health. So I just thought that was such an intuitive, different thing that no one else is doing in the industry right now with shooters. Every other game, it's duck and cover, hide behind something until your health gets back, and then peek out from around a corner again. And I mean, most shooters are like that. Doom was no. You need to be rushing enemies every second you get the chance, and you need to be punching them and tearing out their eyeballs, and then that's how you get health, and that's how you can stay healthy, and then you can kill more people and keep doing that.
Yeah.
The bosses in it were great.
Moving. Yeah.
You just got to keep moving. That's the thing. You can't stop in that game. And like my co-host I do my podcast with, he's like, oh, I didn't like it because I played the demo and I didn't like how much you had to move. I'm like, dude, that's why it's awesome. No other shooter is making you do that right now. Like,
it's engaging, you know?
It is. Yeah. It was totally like, I couldn't put it down once I started again. Like I did rent it, so I was trying to beat it as fast as possible, but like I didn't want to put it down at any point. Like I played through it in one sitting and that was it.
It's part of like, I think Overwatch and Titanfall to lesser extents also incorporate that, and that's what makes them so engaging is like this idea of movement. Like movement is crucial.
Yeah, and it's just everything else has been so. Most shooters, I would say, have been so plotting and just, again, like we said, just so much more slow paced and tactical that getting into something like this that was just move, don't stop moving, keep moving, rush enemies, shoot them as much as you can. The enemy designs are all awesome. The soundtrack's phenomenal. The bosses are great. Bunch of unique weapons. Like I mean, it's just, as far as like games go, it's like one of the most well-crafted of the year, I think. And in terms of like art, sound, music, what gameplay, like it's all just good. Like I don't know. Like it's just one of the most well-crafted games this year, I think. And it really, I don't want to say people slept on it because I think it's got a good amount of recognition this year, but I don't know. Like I'm not hearing a whole lot about it. Like as we get to the year's end, and maybe it's just the people I listen to or something like that. But I feel like some people did sleep on it, and it does deserve a lot of credit this year for what it did.
Yeah. Most importantly, it has a double barrel shotgun that feels like magic every time you use it.
That's also true. The other thing too that I totally forgot about until I remembered Danny O'Dwyer's video series, but Doom was dead before this game, and they brought it back in like a huge way. Like Doom 4 was in development hell for years, and no one had any idea what was up with it. And then they rebooted it and brought it back with this. And that was the reason why I think everybody was skeptical with it, and why I didn't know what to think of it either, is because we hadn't seen Doom since Doom 3 in 2003, 4, something around there. It was like on Xbox, the original Xbox, I know. So yeah. It was this was like huge to bring this back. Like this is like one of the franchises in gaming. Like this is like one of the granddaddies of video games, and bringing it back in
a lot of ways.
Yeah, that and Wolfenstein. So bringing it back this year and having it be relevant again, I think is important for the industry. So
yeah, I'm with you. Doom is phenomenal.
We sat in front of so we had front row seats to the Game Awards, which is like a whole separate story, but they sat us directly in front of the entire id Software team. So that was really crazy that we were sitting there all night with them. And every time they mentioned Doom, we like cheered extra loud because we were right there with all of them and they were cheering loud behind us. So that was awesome. Fun. That was really funny. But yeah.
That is a separate story.
That is a big separate story. You can go hear all about that on somewhere, logged somewhere on the internet forever.
Some podcast
I've already talked about that.
Number 4.
So here's my here's the one where you're gonna get a little bit of insight into who I am as a gamer. My number 4 is MLB The Show 16.
Okay.
So this was my comfort food game this year. Anytime I didn't know what to play, anytime there was a game that I wanted to get into but was like hesitant to get into for some reason, again, like I don't know. So many games are open world that it's just daunting sometimes, and it's like, do I get into this? Do I start this game, or no? I'm just gonna go play a couple of games of baseball online against some people. And so that was what I did a lot this year. Anytime I didn't know what to play, or anytime I was like in between games or something like that, MLB The Show was the one thing I kept going back to. And I'm a huge baseball fan. If you follow me on Twitter or just know me in person, like I don't shut up about baseball ever. Like baseball and video games, like those are my two things in life that I follow way too much. So MLB The Show this year, I play them every year. This year's felt better though, and they improved a lot of the modes. The online play has gotten really good, and that's what I spend 90% of my time doing in the game, is just going online and playing a bunch of games with other people. Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, there's not a whole lot to say about this one. It's a refined experience of what 15 was. 17 is going to be a refined experience of what 16 was. We know how sports games works, but this is the one game that I kept coming back to over and over again this year. So that's why it's on my list.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I know nothing really of baseball or baseball video games, but I know that the show is consistently a great game. So
that's the thing too, is like anytime I bring up PS4 exclusives, like I always mention that, and people are like, oh, it doesn't really count. I'm like, dude, that definitely counts. Like that's a huge franchise for Sony, and people don't think about it, but like
that's the only baseball game now too.
Yeah, it is. And that's part of the reason why I bought my PlayStation 4 day one. Like, I mean, I was going to buy it no matter what, but knowing that an MLB game was around the corner was a good reason for me to go out and buy one. So yeah, I mean, that's my comfort food. I always have that installed on my PS4, even when I run out of space on my 500 gigabytes. I got to delete something. That one's not going anywhere. That's the one I always keep installed just in case it's a boring day and I want to play some baseball.
The never-ending 500 gigabyte nightmare. I know that feeling.
It was really bad after I got Final Fantasy and Watch Dogs.
Yeah,
cutting things left and right.
Number 3.
Number 3 for me is Uncharted 4. So
I like the hesitancy with that.
So on paper, this should have been the one that's, and I'm gonna just talk about negatives with this game. I know I am. I've been like so negative on it this year, and it's by no means it's number 3 on my list, so I obviously like it a lot. But it on paper, it should have been the runaway game this year, and I just, as good as it is and as satisfying as the story was, who reach the end and see what happened with all of that, and I don't know. You said we can talk about spoilers, seeing his daughter and all of that stuff, and just, I don't know. It was really a satisfying conclusion to this franchise, at least for now, until Sony decides to pull it out of the grave that they've put it in for now. I did have issues with it. I didn't think there was enough set pieces. I felt like it was a little bit too slow at times, which was fine in certain instances. I like that they let the game breathe a little bit more and let some things happen a bit more naturally. But to me, Uncharted, since 2 especially, has always been about the set piece moments, like the big things, like you always go and talk about with your friends. Oh, the train, oh, the boat, or what was the other, or the plane, or something like those are the things that you remember from the Uncharted games. I didn't really feel like there was anything like that in 4. Obviously, the big standout one for me was the truck sequence, but they showed that off at E3, and so that kind of sucked by the time I got to that point. Like, I was expecting another big moment like that in the game, and it never came. The controls still, like, Uncharted's never been like the best third-person shooter in terms of playability. I thought that was still true here. I also thought there was way too much climbing in this game. Like, there was way less combat in the game, but there was way too much climbing and platforming, I thought. Which is, again, it's fine, and I think it allows the game to breathe a bit more and have conversations between Nate and Sam, or Nate and Sully, or whoever the heck's in the scene. But I don't know, like, I should have liked the game way more than I did. And story-wise, I was satisfied with everything, but gameplay-wise, it left me wanting more. And I don't know if the Uncharted formula has gotten stale in 2016, because they really didn't try to improve anything outside of the rope swinging mechanic that they added, which was cool, but like, it was a really simple thing to add to the game. I thought, like, it didn't add too much. So I don't know. Again, I was way more negative on it than anything. It's still Uncharted. It's still awesome. Naughty Dog is still like at the top of the industry, pretty much. It's also the most beautiful console game I've ever played. So there's a lot of good with it, but I was left wanting more from it, and I wish it would have.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's like easily the best Uncharted game, and I like the slow burn. Like, I was glad that the game was less about shooting and more about climbing and talking and puzzles and things. Like, I wanted that game to be less about everything that those Uncharted games were, and it felt so different, while also, like, the game in itself, in its like 22, 23 chapters, was also Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 at different points, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's this section at the end that is very much Uncharted 1, and there's like this section in the middle that's like the globetrottingness of Uncharted 3, and then there's parts of it that are like plotting in a way that Uncharted 2 is, through like these weird puzzly sections, and it really worked for me. It's hard for me to empathize with those kind of like the complaints of where like your kind of issues with it.
Yeah.
But you know, I get it. It's different. It's a breakaway from what that franchise had been in a lot of ways.
And that's the thing, is I can understand it from both points of view, because I feel like there's people in my camp and then there's people in your camp as well. I mean, those seem to be the two opinions on it. It was everything I wanted. I like the slower pace. And then there's people like myself who had some frustrations with things like that. But I can see it both ways. This isn't one of those instances where, like, I totally don't understand how you can say that, and I think you're an insane person for believing that. Like,
yeah, I like
other games, but
I like that both camps, like the people that absolutely over the top loved it and the people that liked it, they still, like, at the end of the day, they both really liked it.
Like, yeah, at the end of the day, like, this is like a 9.5 out of 10. Like, it's still a phenomenal game. Like, I'm so nitpicky with it though, and like, it was so much Uncharted, but at the same time, it was very different. It was The Last of Us Uncharted. Like, it was much more, again, slow. Like, and I'm not really used to that, I guess, in a lot of ways. Again,
have you played through it a second time at all?
No, and I need to, and that's something I've wanted to do for a while now. And it's just,
it made, like, I think I think knowing the way that the pace picks up in that game, the way it just kind of builds and builds and builds until the end, like going into it from that perspective might make you appreciate some of the things it does more.
Yeah.
I remember, like, I got about 10 chapters into a second playthrough, just like revisit it and kind of remind myself of it at the end of the year. And it is something special.
It's something I definitely want to get back into again. I mentioned earlier that I need to do my crushing playthrough of it or whatever to get the platinum, because I've got all the other platinums. But I don't know when I will. And I think the other thing that I didn't really mention was I felt like it was a bit too long, which, again, you want that last game to be a little bit longer than the others, but there was about 2 hours towards the middle, which didn't necessarily need to be cut, but some of those sequences definitely could have been shortened for sure. Like, again, a ton of platforming in this game. Like, there's like 2 or 3 chapter stretches where it seemed like you were just jumping around and climbing on rocks and
climbing on some shit, man.
Which is totally fine, but I like mixing that up with the shooting. Like, I feel like 2 and 3 specifically, there's a lot more overlap of the platforming to go along with the combat, which in this you had a little bit more maneuverability around the environments, and you can come at combat situations a little bit more like how you wanted to. And there was the whole stealth element to it, which wasn't really in. There's always been a stealth element in the games, but it's never been prevalent like it was in 4. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Just, I like the hush tone, and I like how much quieter it was, because I think those led to better story payoffs. But as far as gameplay, I thought it was a little bit lacking because of that. So it's like I understand what you're doing, and I know why you did it, Naughty Dog, but this suffered because of it, in my opinion. So again, though, phenomenal game. It's like one of the best this year. If you have a PS4 and you haven't played it, like, you're insane. Unless you haven't played any of the others, in which case go buy the collection and play those first, because 4 will mean nothing to you, I think.
Yeah, it's been fun. Uncharted 4 has been popping up on a lot of lists, but it's also been like, I had a couple of people just the opposite of liking Uncharted, that kind of game. So it's been fun kind of.
I figured it would be the most frequent one on everybody's list, but
I actually bet Overwatch would be, and you were the first person that I've sat down with so far.
Really?
Overwatch on their list.
That's interesting. I've played Overwatch less than
wrong. Is what
I guess I'm wrong. I guess I'm in the minority.
You're right. They're all wrong.
Yeah. Well, at least you must have had some really bad people doing this show before me, I guess. So you finally got some real knowledgeable people on your show.
Some real video games people on this show.
Yeah. Well, that may go away with my number 2.
Number 2, let's do it.
Number 2 as a video game sucks. And it's Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go sucks. Pokemon Go is a really bad game. But dude, I've never seen anything in my entire 22 years on Earth like when this game came out. It was insane. I couldn't go anywhere where I didn't see at least hundreds of people playing it. Like, whether it be in my small little town and we start walking around the town square and there's kids everywhere playing it, or we went to, so like a week after it came out, like me and a couple friends decided to go downtown to Indianapolis and check and just go play it. And of course, probably like 5,000 other people had the exact same idea. Like, it was unreal. And it was cool because everybody was socializing about it, because everybody was doing the same thing. Like, oh, have you seen this Goldeen? Oh, there's a Drowsy over there. Did you know that? Oh, cool. Like, everybody was talking to each other. Everybody was interacting. And I go to a school where everybody is in their own world for some reason. It's a commuter college. It's IUPUI. It's downtown Indianapolis, but most people that commute there. So people like myself, I'll go there, I'll go to class, get in my car, I'll go home. So I don't spend a whole lot of time interacting with people there. This coming out and seeing everybody interact with each other, and compared to being so just shut in into themselves, was just an insane thing. Like, again, I've never seen anything like this in my life. And of course it's died off now and it's not a thing anymore. But for that month, those first 4 weeks when the game came out, it was unreal how many people I ran into who were playing it. And again, I think the game sucks, but it was more just a catalyst to socialize with people. And I give it so much credit for that. I don't know if I give the game credit for that as much as I give the Pokemon branding credit for that, because it's just so recognizable. But yeah, it deserves a spot on my list because I was just, I was flabbergasted. And that's a great word to use. I just couldn't believe it when the game came out, how many people were playing with it. And that was the other thing too. I'll just throw this in before you say your piece. Like, I knew that people like you and myself knew it was coming. Like, oh, we're gamers. We know this is coming at some point. I didn't know everyone on the planet knew about it though. Like it was insane. Like, and it's a free app and everybody's got smartphones, so it's easy to download. But overnight, everyone was playing this game. It was insane. Like, I couldn't believe it. So
yeah, I mean, like, it's a weird thing because it has died down obviously a lot. But in my world, my two roommates, my brother and my best friend, and then my best friend's girlfriend as well, they play it constantly still. Yeah,
interesting.
My brother just got the Pokemon Go Pro thing, the
watch thing,
little wristband.
Yeah,
and he's like going bonkers over it. My mom and my other brother came up from Florida visiting this week for the holidays, and my mom and my brother are playing it nonstop. It's a thing like where my mom's like, I just caught a gaslit. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what world do I live in? And it's a thing like, my mom never really played Pokemon. She plays a lot of video games. She played Uncharted 4 this year, and she's like a big fan of stuff like that. But like, as far as I know, in my experience, she never really got into Pokemon. So her engaging with this is so odd. It's surreal. And it is like a thing because it's not Pokemon. Like, I don't like Pokemon Go because I don't think it's very fun. Playing Pokemon Omega Sapphire and or Alpha or whatever.
I don't remember what those are. Whatever, I get those mixed up all the time too.
Whichever the one. And Sun this year, which like I think are far superior like actual video games.
Oh yeah.
It's like I can't get into Pokemon Go. Like, I'm the only person in my personal circle that doesn't give a shit about it. But it's cool to see that game rope people in. It's something else.
I mean, it's the same reason people like drink or do drugs or anything weird like that, is most of the time it's to socialize with people. And that was what I found so interesting about this game. Was I literally had friends texting me just saying, hey, you want to get together tonight and play Pokemon Go? And I knew all my friends thought the game sucked, but it was more of like a reason to, hey, let's get together and hang out. And so we get together and, oh, I caught a Krabby. How's your girlfriend doing? Oh, she's good. All right. Like, it was a good way to catch up, and you're doing something to occupy yourself at the same time. But it was like, I had better relationships with my friends this summer, I think, because of it in a weird way. And it also, like, the people I was playing it with are the same people I've been playing Pokemon with since 2nd or 3rd grade. So it was really interesting for us in that way, just because this is like something that has tied us together for so long, and for it to come back in this new strange way where we can go run around the park and try to find a freaking Kakuna together is just, it's odd, but it also felt familiar because Pokemon had been such a point of our relationships for so long in the first place, and it was what kind of made us friends in the first place back on the playground a long time ago. So it felt like it came full circle, and it just made me, I don't know, the whole experience, that whole July, August, it just made me feel really weird, just because it was a sense of nostalgia. It was a sense of like seeing how far we've come again, because I had been playing those games for so long with my friends. And I don't know, just the game did a bunch of things personally and socially in this country that I think was also like much needed at the time. Like,
yeah, for sure.
With how volatile the country's been lately, and just everybody seems to be at each other's throats politically and just everything else too. Like, no one can agree on anything anymore, and just seeing literally thousands of people just doing the same thing felt good.
Yeah,
to see.
And it's like a totally jolly thing.
Yeah,
Pocket monsters,
Yeah, just go catch a freaking Pikachu and then celebrate it. And
this one's got a Christmas ad on it.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to play it again, but
yeah,
I don't know if I'll do that. We'll see.
It's a weird thing. But none of those games matter anymore. It's time for number one, the game of the year, your personal game of the year.
So I want to say, before I get into this, a lot of exposition here. This was the weirdest year, I think, for games. As far as like game of the year lists in a long time, like again, I think I can tell you what I think the best games of the year are, like Overwatch and things like that. As far as personal favorites go, there were so many good games this year, but I didn't think there was any like phenomenal games that I'll remember for the rest of my life or anything like that. Nothing stuck with me this year that I was immediately like, that's in my all-time favorites or anything like that. So my number one this year is a game that I've thought about the most this year, and I think that was partially why it got my number one spot, and that is Inside. I finished this game and just like kind of put down my controller, brushed my teeth, went to bed, woke up the next morning and was still thinking about it. Like, it's weird, but it's a good weird. And so in school, I'm a video audio production major. So it's kind of like an offshoot of film in some ways. So I got a bunch of film professors who are always telling us like, it's more about what you show rather than what you tell. And I think I appreciate the game so much because there's literally nothing said in the entire game. And you just have to put all the pieces together for yourself, which is so rare in games nowadays. I mean, there's a couple this year that come to mind, like The Witness or this. I was going to say Firewatch, but I don't know why I'd say Firewatch. There's that game's all dialogue.
Hyperlight Drifters.
Hyperlight Drifters, another good one. So indies are doing it well right now, but Inside, man, it was just so expertly crafted too, as far as all of the puzzles and all of the levels and every little interaction with the characters and the environment, like at the end of the game. The other thing too is that like when the game came out, there were so many people saying, stay away from spoilers, stay away from spoilers. I don't know how I could spoil this game for you if I wanted to. And if I did, it wouldn't make any sense. Like, okay, spoilers. You turn into a giant mutant blob of flesh. Like, that doesn't mean anything to you. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. Like the game, I still think about it, and it's in the same class as The Last of Us for me, where I want to go play it again, but I'm scared to because that first playthrough was like so jarring and interesting, and just I was awestruck the entire time I played the game because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what was going on. It was just, I was navigating this world and trying to piece everything together myself. And by the end of the game, I don't really know if I answered any of the questions that I had, but it was making me ask questions, right? And it held my attention too, which is another thing that I think, I mean, we all have short attention spans now because we've got freaking phones in our hands constantly, and who's tweeting at me and who's texting me and whatever. Like, this is a game that just totally enthralled me, and I couldn't stop thinking about it like the entire time I played it and the entire time after I finished it. It's really, I don't know. There's a lot I can say about it, but again, as far as the game goes, like, it's so just well done. Like, if you listen to Kind of Funny Stuff, Colin's preached about it too, is like, from a gameplay aesthetic and how this game was designed from the ground up, it's probably unmatched this year. Because I mean, while it's just platforming and moving through this environment, like, they do it to such an expert, like, it's so expertly crafted that I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it anymore. Like, it's just so well done.
No, I agree with you. Like, the thing with Inside is, if you were to go back and play that game a second time, like, you would know where it's going. Mm-hmm. When you play through that game the first time, you don't know where it's going. But so, like, the game forces you to be in every moment as it's happening. Yeah. And when you're forced into that moment and you actually have to pay attention, like, there is a level of appreciation you build for the way everything is crafted, moment to moment to moment to moment, because you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
And knowing where you're going would spoil the being able to just take it in, like, to absorb it, like the pulse scene with the throbbing pulse that comes through, like,
yes,
being in that like 15-minute scene where you're just kind of figuring out how to get through these sections where this pulse will turn you into mush.
The entire underwater section where you flat out die.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that, like, it comes out of nowhere and you're not sure what's happening.
Yeah.
And knowing like that scene would end with you being able to breathe underwater for some reason, would take away from like the tension that it builds when it's happening.
Yeah.
So totally, I'm with you.
Yeah, like I mean, I went back and I got all of the collectibles, and it felt kind of like dirty while I was doing it, because I mean, you can just jump around in the chapters or whatever and go get the collectibles so you can get the achievements and see the real secret ending, which is also just hurt your brain. I went back and got all the collectibles though, and I was like, this just feels weird, man. Like it's a game I don't want to pick apart, and it's the same reason I haven't gone back to The Last of Us either. I played through The Last of Us once, I put it down. I was like, that's one of the greatest games I've ever played in my life. It's fine with me. I don't need to do it again. Even I will say I'm getting to the point with The Last of Us where I do want to go play it again.
I've played it. I played through it 5 times, and it is still very, very special to me. I will say, like
it's something I wanted.
It's
to
actually only gotten better each playthrough I've played it. So
that's good to hear. That's a game I've wanted to go back to this break, but I don't know if I'll get the chance or not.
Because it's different. Like Inside is 4 hours long, right? You consume it and then it's gone, and you remember most of it. The Last of Us is 16 hours long, and you will notice things that you didn't notice before every time you play it, I think. Like even like this, I replayed it this past summer on survival again, which I think is still the best way to play that game. And there were things that like I picked up on that I still hadn't seen in my 4 other playthroughs. So I feel
it's like watching a good movie again or something like that. You pick up on certain pieces of dialogue or a certain way a scene was shot or something like that, the framing or whatever. And
facial expressions.
Yes, things like that, like that you never knew were there. Inside though was like, honestly,
it doesn't let you forget anything about it, honestly.
Yeah,
everything is so memorable.
Yeah, I agree. Like I still remember almost every beat of that game, and it's I don't know. Like it's just so, and again, the tone that it has, you just starting in the woods, there's a bunch of cars, go. There's a bunch of people after you. Why are they after me? I don't know what's going on. And it kind of bleeds into one another. And yeah, I mean, I mentioned it, but the whole secret ending thing with you shutting down yourself or something like that, and it really gets just incredibly trippy. And again, it's about showing rather than telling. And there's some things in my head that I think I can piece together about that world. Okay, I think this is what's happening. I think this is why there's all these people walking around who are like robots that you can control and things like that. Like there's things that I think I know are happening, but it'll never be confirmed because Playdead will never tell you. Like they never spoke up about Limbo. They will never speak up about Inside because it's all about the player curating the story to themselves as they play it. So, and I think that's just, I want to say it's a lost art, but that's really never been a thing with the games industry. So it's more of just a unique thing that no one else really does besides them. So I'm really looking forward to whatever their next game is, whenever that comes out, 2020.
5 years from now, yeah, whatever that is.
I actually, when I was at the Game Awards, I heard somebody went up to the game director afterwards. I forget his name. It played it, and they said, "I loved Inside. I'm so looking forward to your next game." And he said, "Well, it's gonna be a while, so get ready for it." So,
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, they don't have to rush, so
no, they don't. It's so yeah. Inside though, yeah, while it's not anything to write home about, like necessarily gameplay wise, because it is just platforming for the most part. Like, and there is some unique things there, though. I will say that, like, there's some unique sections with the boat and things like that, where like you getting through certain sections of that game, once the puzzles clicked in my head, I was like, that's really ingenious how they teach you that, or you pick up on that. So gameplay wise, it is really smart in a lot of ways, but it's just so expertly done with how they teach you those things and how you can pick up on everything and how they'll introduce a mechanic and then slowly, similar to The Witness. The Witness was really good with that this year too. Like they introduce something and then they just start building on it from there. I don't know, man. Inside's been the one game I keep thinking about this year just because of how unique it is and how it's unlike anything else I've ever really played. So, and it really stood out this year too, amongst everything else I'd have to say.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. That's a good list. I like it.
Cool.
Let's look ahead. What are you looking forward to the most 2017?
Oh, that's a really big question.
It doesn't have to be specifically one.
Okay, so on the record, I I've said on my own show that I think 2017 is shaping up to be the best year in the history of video games, and I'm like dead serious about that. I think there's
Somebody's
more.
about to make the switch.
I think there is. I think there's more coming out in the first 4 months of 2017 that will be more impactful than anything that came out this year. Like, I'm hyped for Mass Effect. I'm hyped for Zelda and Switch. I'm kind of hyped for. Me and Nintendo is a frustrating story. But I'm excited for the Switch. I hope it's good, and I need to save money up for it or whatever. That event's coming up, I guess, though, isn't it? So hopefully that's
going to be happening the week that these go out. So
that should be fun. So there's the Switch, there's Zelda, there's Mass Effect. I'm really excited for all those. Again, Persona 5, even though I haven't beat Persona 4, I'm really excited for that. Ukulele looks awesome. I am such a banjo fan, so I am so hyped for Ukulele. I got to play it at PSX. You played it at PSX too, didn't you?
I witnessed it. I let someone else play it so I could save myself.
It's really good. I like it.
Magic.
Like it. I like it a lot. It's Banjo 3 for all intents and purposes, which is exactly what we've all been wanting. It's just with a lizard and a bat this time, which is fine with me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got Resident Evil, which is soon, and I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if I'll play it in VR, though, even though I told myself when I bought PSVR that would be like the game I would play in VR. I don't know, man. It stresses me out when I play that demo that they came out with a couple weeks ago. It's I don't know. I don't do horror too well, even though I've played all the other Resident Evil games, but most of them are action-based anyway. I don't know. As far as things I'm most excited for, I would definitely say number one's Mass Effect. I'm a huge fan of that series, and I've long said it's like the best sci-fi franchise behind only Star Wars. Star Wars is obviously the number one, but behind that, I think Mass Effect's universe is so expertly crafted, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Andromeda. And then Zelda, of course, Ocarina of Time is my favorite game ever, so I'm looking forward to Breath of the Wild. I hope it's good. I'll probably buy the Switch to play it on the Switch. We'll see. I'm hearing, wasn't there rumors that the Wii U version's totally canceled at this point or something like that?
No, that's absurd.
That's what I'm thinking too. But
yeah,
they would.
You want to talk about burning bridges? That's burning houses. So
that's, I wouldn't put it past Nintendo though. So yeah, most of those ones I mentioned. I think there's something else I'm forgetting too that I can't remember. But those first few months are going to be awesome, and I hope we see more of Spider-Man whenever that's coming out, dude. Someday. I'm so excited for that game, man. Spider-Man 2 is like one of my favorite games ever. So I'm hoping they nail that. Yeah. But I don't think we get that till next year.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't think so either, but it's Insomniac. I believe in them.
I do too. So yeah.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for coming on. One more time, where can people follow you, find more of you?
So Twitter, you can follow me there. I'm at Mooreman12. That's MOORE man12. So follow me there. You can keep up with me. You can find my written work that I do. I'm at PlayStationInsider. And then if you want to listen to my podcast that I do, I will be tweeting out links and stuff from my Twitter, so you can find it all there first. But it is called Millennial Gaming Speak. We're on YouTube. We do the show very similar to Irrational Passions here, so you can find the YouTube version over there. We are on iTunes as well. You can find us there, and then we're on SoundCloud as well. So we need to
at MGS Podcast, Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, at MGS Podcast. So that was actually the acronym we went for too. I was like, how about we just rip off Metal Gear Solid? Let's figure something out with that. So
it worked out. It's easy to remember. So
yeah, and then I may have a couple more secret projects coming soon, sort of. Yeah. If you like podcasting, stay tuned. So.
Yeah. Hopefully people will hear about them soon by the time this comes out.
Maybe. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see. Thank you for coming on again, man. It was a lot of fun.
No problem.
It's good to have your Irrational Passions debut. If you liked this, keep in mind there's more top 10s, more guests, more newcomers, more returning faces all this week whenever this is coming out. And the Irrational Passions Game of the Year podcast as well. So go check those out. Follow Logan on Twitter. And as always, it's been my pleasure to serve you.